Hello everyone, how are you today? This is Scrembo from Emotionless Crypto Trading, and here we go with another video presentation, which is definitely important because it talks about top 3 cryptocurrencies to consider in February 2018 after this market crash we are in, right? So there's a lot of this discounted opportunities that we have to measure, research, and discuss all around the corner. Now, as you may know, right there below our title, we can find our disclaimer, which is not an investment or financial advice. What you're going to find or hear in this video presentation, it's just pure content after my research that could help you, and it could be a helping stone in your decisions. Now, market crashes are happening within the cycles that we're facing. We do have these cycles repeating over and over again until the market matures, and the more it matures, the less volatility is going to happen within these cycles. Now, currently, we are in the latest phase of the cycle, which represented a crash of more than $300 billion, more than $350 billion of the total market cap, just like that down the way pretty parabolically over the last month. It was going like that without any sort of mercy or anything such. I mean, the market do not really cares about your name or who is playing it or how much money you have. It has a natural movement that applies, and that's pretty much all. So let's just dive into the first one we're going to talk about, and we're always going to have a title like Investor Knowledge Pays the Best Interest, right? That's a well-said title in my opinion for every single lecture we have here. The first one is going to be Time New Bank, the TNB token, 140 million market cap, which is definitely placing it in category of medium-sized market cap cryptos with high potential, representing the project CEO team and the execution which is going to happen over the next few weeks, months, and so on. Basically, the 2018 should represent quite a lot for Time New Bank, which is quite a fresh project. That's why let's discuss about all these numbers. Also look at the market analysis and the price analysis that we can see on CoinMarketCap, basically pretty much for everybody. The current price is 8 cents, just slightly above 8 cents, and our all-time high was at 32 cents. So there is close to 4x less than the all-time high price right now. Everything that's below 10 cents, it's an amazing price for TNB, considering the price analysis, project potential, and all these things measured along with the market cap, competition, and circulating supply. So these are the things that we always measure. Now, if you want to dive into deep of what is Time New Bank, you definitely want to run a research, because this video is not about the cryptocurrencies, what are they? This is more about what we could achieve as a potential based on the technical analysis. But once again, make sure that you do not take this as a prediction, investment advice, or anything such. Basically, this is pure reading of the technical analysis we are going to see in very soon, but also we were able to see during the last hours I was doing my research. Now, the next major resistance for February is sitting at 16 cents. Basically, this is something we could expect as a price point to have a lot of the activity. Considering the actual price, that would be at least 2x in my opinion. Now, potential price based on the technical analysis is anywhere between 18 and 14 cents, right? So I'm just gonna talk about an important event that's gonna be around Time New Bank. It's gonna have a meeting with Donald Trump basically on February 25th, right? So once again, a meeting with the President of the United States at an event. They're going to be there, the President is going to be there, and of course some other businesses. So it's not a private meeting between Time New Bank and Donald Trump. It's a meeting at an event which is going to take place, and I'm going to share with you that in a moment basically. So here's the company behind Time New Bank, which is called Miawa International, right? They have these things on their Twitter. Basically, you can look after this once and you will be able to see that even if you just hover your mouse over Time New Bank, you will be able to see right here the Miawa International Time Chain, which is the company behind Time New Bank, right? So you want to scroll down a little bit and see that this is the place the event is going to be held, and this is kind of an official, should I say, invitation that we can see right here on Twitter. So it's going to happen. Now let's take a look at the CoinMarketCap page of the Time New Bank, which is sitting around just slightly above 8 cents, as I've mentioned, with a circulating supply, which do not really represent a lot. I mean, it's 1.6 billion tokens on the market out there. But once again, we were so high at 32 cents compared to the actual price is almost 4x from the all-time high, right? Which is a lot of money to be regained, a lot of the dumping that was coming in. And from what we're able to see at this time, basically we're able to build up a support structure, right? We're not really having spikes above this structure, which should represent a rectangle over here. If you follow my mouse, you will be able to see a rectangle right here. So the reason I'm representing the resistance sitting around 16 cents basically is because that's where we started to be blocked whenever we try to get out of this rectangle, right? So we can see right here, just slightly above. I'm just going to try to zoom in for you to see in a more detailed way. It's kind of sitting around 16 cents here, right? So 15.5, 15.6. Along the way, we do have a lot of the resistance closing down at 16 cents, which kind of keeps our trading below that. But once we approach that mark again and we break out of that, that's going to be our next support. So that's why we take it as a minimum price potential for February for Time New Bank, as long as we get out of the downtrending environment we're into, right? So this is definitely possible considering the way the charts are looking at. The difference is insane looking at the numbers. So going back, we started basically from 3 cents, which is not a high difference from the current price. And you can definitely imagine we're going to have parabolic movements and high run-ups during February and March within the alts market, as well as we need to start recovering. Whatever people might think about, but every single crash afterwards, there's some sort of it's not distribution period, it's called accumulation period, which means that people will start buying into, like, it's probably one of the best times for Time New Bank until it's going to go parabolically once again. Now let's talk about the next one, which is going to be the metaverse. ATP, 82 million market cap, very small. This is part of the Neo CEOs, right? So the CEO behind metaverse is also part of the Neo CEOs, which is something very important to add to the value of the project, right? So the current price is sitting around $2.2, $2.20, and the all-time high was sitting around $6.20, which means a 2.8x less than all-time high price point, right? So that gives space for us to recover, keeping in mind this is going to be a project that's going to be influenced by the South Korea market as well, because that's from where they receive a lot of the funds, a lot of the support, a lot of the income, as well as once China is going to fully regulate all the exchanges and everything around that, imagine what's going to be all around this Asian cryptos, because that's where I'm aiming for 2018. I want to see high returns on the Asian cryptos, because that's from where we're going to see the most money coming into the cryptocurrency space from Asia. So next major resistance for February at $5, right? So you can definitely see the difference you have from now to the next major resistance. Once we get out of this downtrending environment, then the potential price based on the technical analysis is going to sit around between 3.8 and 5.10 bucks. Now we do have some important events, possible hard fork in February or March. They didn't really make this clear yet. We don't have a clear date about it, but there's going to be huge changes and shifts around metaverse over February or March. We do have a lot of the things pronounced on their Reddit channel, where you can look after proof regarding metaverse. So let's just take a look what's happening on CoinMarketCap around metaverse, which represented during the history insane volatility. Now, with a circulating supply of only 37 million at 82 million market cap is extremely cheap regarding the competition potential, team and roadmap basically they have. As well as, I always like to consider for projects that have a history to look after their confirmation on what does it mean an execution for them, right? So if they executed or not based on their promises. This is very important. Right now, 37 million circulating supply, as I've mentioned, which is very low. Now just take a look at this, that how many times did we kind of recover from this 2.20 bucks stage and level and price point? Because at some point it was our resistance. And of course, based on the technical analysis, a very popular way of the charts way of running is previous resistance becomes our next support, which actually happened over here. This is our previous resistance right here at 2.20. You can see this spike basically finds a lot of resistance, but after that you can see it's not a resistance anymore right here. It's becoming our next support. So we were approaching 2.20, we were going up to 466, then once again down the way basically 2.20, 2.30 up to $5, which is our current resistance as a major resistance. Down the way again to 2.20, what's that, 13, and then once again down to 2.20. So we were approaching this price points in the last time like about 4 or 5 times, and we were always confirming by jumping back to higher numbers up to $5, which I also represented our next major support. Now in 2018, I do see this cryptocurrency at minimum 2 digits. Minimum 2 digits. Now this one could start, and it could easily start with 2, which means above 20 bucks, right? So 2 digits starting with number 2, and slightly potential around the 2 digits starting with number 3, which means above $30 as soon as the market environment is going to be definitely proper for the Asian market, because that's going to influence a lot of this metaverse cryptocurrency. Now you can see basically where this is being traded. All of these cryptos which I'm mentioning in this video presentation are eligible and possible to be traded on high volumes representing millions of dollars daily. Now the third one is another Asian coin, meaning A chain, right? So the A chain, the ACT, is having a market cap of 127 million, which is definitely not big at all comparing to the competition and the actual stage of the space. The current price is sitting around 42 cents from an all-time high which was at $1.37, which gives the space of 3.2x less than the all-time high. Definitely a lot of the space to increase, and these guys are executing as well. They have a lot of the photos, with events. The team is meeting up everywhere on the social media. They're extremely active over there. That means they are working very hard on their promises, and not just behind the offices. They're also public. There are some companies working extremely hard behind their offices, which means behind the social media, behind any sort of public appearance. There are some. But there are the other ones which are having public appearances as well. And I do believe for a company, you need to show your face. Otherwise, you're not able to build up anything. In my opinion, every single company that's serious worldwide and has billions around them has a face of a business, right? So you have to show your team participating in events or whatever, even from your offices. I do believe that gives a lot of credibility to your audience, and it's just a slight example of what these guys are doing. Of course, they do have a lot of the meetups with important companies where they discuss business deals, and of course the upgrading of the A-chain is continuous on their development. The next major resistance is sitting around 70 cents, but that's not something we're not able to break out in February, as long as the news that we're going to have will come in an environment that's going to be pretty nice and pretty bullish. Therefore, the pump is going to be even higher, right? So the potential price based on the technical analysis is going to sit between 80 to 65 cents. Now, once again, I like to mention the minimum possible. From here, we could have even higher numbers for February for the A-chain, because we do have two important events: the South Korea meetup, also the wallet launch for the Mac PCs on 4th of February, right? So a couple of details around the A-chain meetup, which you can also participate. This is what I've been able to find on their official Twitter account. You will be able to participate if you are from South Korea, right there, if you think that's something useful for you. Now, I would be there if I would have the chance to do it. Now, because there's a lot to learn about this project, and you will be able to see how important it is for the crypto space. 127 million market cap means nothing for what these guys can do, considering that we're talking about a crypto which has a 300 million circulating supply. Very, very few tokens in comparison with the actual price. So for 2018, I would see higher numbers, of course, higher and higher numbers. And why not 2 digits? Once again, 2 digits at the beginning, starting at least from 1. So above 10 bucks, right? The first digit should be 1 right there. But for now, we still have to fight with the $1 mark, which we were approaching at this time, and then coming down the way. Well, what you have to consider is we have always confirmed around this 37, 40 cents, 42 cents price point when the bullish market was taking advantage and pushing hard. The reason I've mentioned the next resistance being definitely powerful at 70 cents is because that's the last time we were stopped from the growth, and that's also where we had some downtrending quite aggressively triggered down the way, which was very powerful, and the bulls were not able to keep up with the market reaction. Now you see the huge space that's between the current price and the all-time high, which is not a fake one at all for the long run. You don't have to be worried about we were in a phase that the market was really just pumping out of nowhere and it could be considered as non-justified. It is justified, but slightly on the longer run. It's not justified like that to have an increase from 4 cents up to $1.40, almost 4x in matter of 10 days. It's not really justified from the naturality of the space. It's not really great for the price of the crypto. Too many people start to sell out very, very quickly. Therefore, bulls are not able to keep up with the volume of the bears, and the bears are taking advantage in pushing the price down the way, and this is the way the crashes are established. Just look at the way this crypto was coming down the way, and especially it was sitting at 7 cents, 8 cents, 9 cents, 6 cents, you know. It was very, very cheap before that, and it wasn't really a long time before. I mean, we're talking about November, December, and January. This is the history of the A-chain. Of course, some a bit of a October as well, but with not too much activity. So that's kind of all about today's video presentation. Make sure you do your own research about what does it mean A-chain, Time New Bank, and Metaverse. Look inside their project, visit their profiles everywhere you can, and research about them. Research of their execution, milestones, achievements, roadmap, team, project, image, branding, everything that needs to be considered. Problems they are solving, what's the usability of the token within the space. But if we have the spikes for all of them, we did have the spikes, then you can be sure that in 2018, the spikes will happen once again, and we're going to see the market at above $1 trillion, which means that the altcoin market is going to be very, very, very high from the last all-time high we had. So you can definitely consider higher numbers for yourself. Here we're trying to speak about the most minimum we can. Now, if you enjoyed this video presentation, feel free to drop a comment a comment in the comments area as a feedback, or you could subscribe if you think this is useful for you. Thank you so much for watching, and talk to you soon.